Tracy. Shaw.
Here.
DeCoe.
Here.
McIntyre.
Here. Okay. Are there any agenda deletions or changes? Okay. I have one because of the agenda addition. Below items 8, they will be 13, 14, and 15, and the agenda addition has 9 through 12. Okay, item 1 is our consent agenda. We have claims totaling $716,256.86 with one fringe of $13.12. B, minutes to approve our regular meeting, 3/5/19, budget hearing, 3/5/19, special meeting, 3/11/19, and 3/13/19. C, approve hire of Casey Dollison, Road Maintenance Tech 1, parentheses RMTI, close parentheses, secondary road, effective 3/25/19. D, approve removal from payroll, Edwin Carzanza, jailer, sheriff office, effective 3/11/19. E, approve wage increase for Lynn Wintet, maternity child health, MCH, coordinator, health services, effective 3/19/19. F, approve Class C liquor license, LC, for Happy Apple Celebrations, LLC. G, approve Class B native wine permit, LBN, for Social Station Floral. Item H, approve Class C liquor license, LC, for Your Private Bar. I, approve application from Des Moines Metro Opera, DMMO, for use of temple parking lot on 6/21/19, administration building lawn and building restrooms on 6/25/19 from 4:30 to 7 p.m. J, set public hearing date of 4/2/19 at 9:35 a.m. Consider elimination of the Hoover Street Bridge, parentheses, number NBIS 51380, in parentheses, over Interstate 35 as part of the Iowa DOT Local Crossroad Bridge Incentive Program. Item K, set public hearing date of 4/2/19 at 9:40 a.m. Consider rezoning of land from A1 to C2, submitted by Tim Holdreth. L, set public hearing date of 4/2/19 at 9:45 a.m. Consider rezoning of land from A1 to M1, submitted by Scott Terry McDonald. M, set public hearing date of 4/16/19 at 6:05 p.m. for proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and establish estimated total cost of the Warren County Courthouse demolition. And set public hearing date of 4/16/19 at 6:06 p.m. regarding bid results and award recommendations for the Warren County Courthouse demolition. And O, set public hearing date of 4/16/19 at 6:10 p.m. for FY19 budget amendment. That is the consent agenda. I would take it a motion for approval.
I would move the consent agenda.
I'm not going to second the consent agenda, as I believe that we should move the consent agenda as A through I and K through O. Regarding consent agenda J, set public hearing date of 4/2 at 9/19 at 9:35 a.m. Consider elimination of Hoover Street Bridge. That is on our agenda, action item number 4, and I would prefer to determine whether or not the board wants to move forward with setting the next public hearing date for the Hoover Street Bridge after we have a discussion and input from the public thereon.
Would you accept that motion? Supervisor Schultz,
They are the same.
Yes, we have we are going to consider the elimination regarding the Hoover Street Bridge as action item number 4 at 6:15 p.m. with public hearing. And so it would be my preference not to set an April meeting and move that forward. And we may or may not decide to do so as a board at 6:15. And so I would move, it would be my preference to have a motion for A through I and K through O with a consent agenda.
That might make it difficult to have a public hearing. I don't know the timing and all that. If we take that out. Don, you think it?
David's coming up.
I think what Aaron might be getting at is just to discuss whether or not we want to have a third reading, but we're still going to have the second reading today. It's whether or not there was enough input from the first and second reading that you guys can discuss whether you do want to move forward with even discussing it in April.
Thank you.
Still, let's take the same position.
I do.
I guess I would consider it to be friendly, so I would move A through O except for J.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye. Moving on to agenda item 2, public hearing regarding amendment to chapter 41 of the zoning ordinance with possible action. And I would take a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Okay. The hearing is in regards to a proposed amendment to the 2018 Warren County, Iowa revised zoning and subdivision ordinance. The amendment application is made by Justin Kappelman, 601 West 1st Avenue, Indianola, Iowa, 50125. The proposed amendment is in Chapter 41, Section 4102, A1 District Regulations. It would fall under special use permits under A1, and we would, the proposed amendment is to add letter V under special use permits, and he's asking to add appliance demanufacturing under state and federal regulations. Cindy Turkle with Turkle Environmental Consultants is here to kind of address this tonight. We had it in front of the zoning commission. Cindy had come in and visit with us in the zoning office. Appliance demanufacturing does fall under the M1 section of the zoning ordinance. And Dawn and I had visited with her at great lengths about that. And she went back and visited with the Kappelmans, and it's actually going to be on, the property that is in discussion is Charlie Kappelman's, which is Justin's father's. Charlie and Justin and Eber, the grandfather, all have an appliance demanufacturing business that is currently ran on Eber's property, and he's selling the property, so they're moving it to Charlie's property. And so we visited with them about possibly rezoning to R1 or M1, and they had no interest in that, which was fine. So they had proposed to make an ordinance change and wanted to request that this be allowed as a special use permit under the A1 district. So they made and paid and made an application, and so they're going to present the application. And the zoning board heard it and recommended. The motion was to recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors, but the vote was 2 in favor and 4 voted to deny that coming forward to you. So they basically denied the motion. They voted to deny that in favor of that coming to you. They really preferred it be an M1 zoning. So that's kind of where we're at on that. Cindy does have some information to present on it. And if this would be allowed as a special use permit in the A1 section, it's not just pertaining to Charlie's property. It would be put in the ordinance under A1, and it would pertain to anybody that would come in. So anybody could come in and ask for that. Now, I'm not sure that there's a lot of people in Warren County who's, you know, wanting to be appliance demanufactured, or there are special regulations and stuff that they have to follow and through state and federal stuff. So I know there's, you know, they're mandated by regulations. So I'm not sure that it's, you know, highly sought out, but just so you know, it would not just pertain to that property. So.
You're welcome. Good evening. I'm Cindy Turco Clark, Environmental Consulting, and I'm located just a couple miles outside of Indianola. And I've been in the solid waste business for 41 years. As a regulator with the DNR, as an administrator of landfills throughout the state, and now as a consultant. So 41 years, rules have changed a lot. Regulations have changed. But yes, demanufacturing of appliances is required by both federal and state regulations. And basically it says, okay, you have a refrigerator. You cannot release the refrigerant, or what we call Freon, but it's called something else in reality, into the atmosphere. That's automatically a $15,000 fine to do that. Also, some of the older appliances, such as a microwave and air conditioners, have old capacitors that have PCBs in them. PCBs have been banned in the United States, but we're finding some of the old ones still coming in. Also, there are some appliances that have mercury components in them. All of this has to be removed before it can be recycled. Also, you cannot landfill them without removal of all these items. You don't have a landfill in the state, or I'm sorry, in this county, pardon me, in this county. And so if you don't have some place to take that appliance, whether it's a microwave, a refrigerator, a freezer, whatever it might be, you have to come up with an option. And the Capplemans are one, in Warren County, they want to be one of the options for demanufacturing that, removing those components, handling those components that are hazardous in the proper manner according to state and federal regulations, and then recycling that demanufactured appliance with a scrap dealer and doing it properly. They've been doing that already in Warren County. Problem is, that was approved back in 2013. Your zoning ordinances have changed since then. And that's why we are here trying to figure out another option. All of the demanufacturing occurs in a building. All of the components that are hazardous are removed and put in specific containers labeled according to state and federal regulations. The facility is permitted and inspected by the state, the DNR. So we have to go through getting re-permitted every 3 years. It's not like they're going to be doing this and sitting out there and nobody's ever going to come around. And all of those units are going to be transported as soon as they're demanufactured, and they have a trailer load, going to be transported to the scrap dealers for recycling, like they should be. This eliminates the problem with them ending up in the ditches because your residents can't find someplace else to take them. It allows cities that have those cleanup days or those spring cleanup events to contract or make arrangements with the Capplemans to come by and pick up all of those appliances that are sitting out in the curbs. Because you have somebody in Warren County that can do that. That's what we're asking, is that you consider this as a special circumstance to allow this service provided to the residents of all of Warren County. To the businesses too. I mean, there are other businesses that might be selling appliances. What do they do with them? They need someone to be able to demanufacture them just as much as Capplemans. And they're already licensed, trained and licensed and permitted to do this. They just have to relocate the facility. I think you've been provided, I hope you were provided with some examples of other counties, Polk County and Story County, that had special use type permits, special documents, or whatever they call with the Board of Adjustment and the zoning board and things like that, that allowed those demanufacturing facilities to be permitted to continue providing this service. Yes, you can put restrictions on it. You can say you can't have outside vehicles more than 10 a day or whatever. Actually, Cattlemen's don't plan to have anybody coming in. They're planning to go and pick them up themselves, bring them to their building, demanufacture them, load them back up, take them to the scrap dealers in Des Moines. That's the plan. And so I guess I ask you, is this something you could consider for this location, this property, for providing the service to demanufacture the appliances of the Warren County residents? Do you have any questions? I mean, the terminology you probably never run across before, but I'd be happy to answer questions.
The point being, you couldn't do this with an M1?
Well, the location that Charlie Kappelman is at is rural. Sure, he's out there in the middle of farming community. He could change his 20 acres or however many it is to M1. But that opens the door for other industry to come in should he pass away, sell it, whatever happens. And that's what we kind of wanted to try and avoid. You know, the thought that that opens the door for other, less desirable to the county. I think the county has always given me the impression, as a resident, that you wanted to maintain the agricultural farming community and properties that you have, and not to continue letting them be rezoned into more residents and things like that. You want the farming to continue. And that's one reason why I think turning it into an M1 situation is not the best for the location and the county and the neighbors.
But couldn't just the building be zoned M1 instead of the whole 20 acres?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it could be.
Oh, that's interesting. We didn't discuss that approach. Just the building?
And they can restrict that to just demanufacturing.
Okay.
Well,
And would that have a sunset, like when they
They
sold
can
it,
sunset.
they would bring it back to our...
But just so you understand too, because I feel like you're getting off on a path where you're asking them for permission for this. What this is doing is you're asking for them to put this in the ordinance as a special use permit. So what that means is if they would put this in the ordinance, you're still going to have to make an application to go in front of the Board of Adjustment to apply for a special use permit to allow this in the A1 district. So if they put this in the ordinance, you still have to make an application and go in front of the board of it. That's where Donna and I were explaining, if you make an application for an M1, you go to the zoning commission, you come to the supervisors, and then that would be your...
that would be the end?
That would be the end. But if you do the ordinance change, then you still have to go in front of the Board of Adjustment, make an application and go in front of the Board of Adjustment, and they may say, well, this is kind of an allowed use in M1. I mean, I don't know what they'll say, but I'm just saying, it takes the zoning commission and the Board of Adjustment, or the zoning commission and Board of Supervisors out of it. You're going to see another board, a 5-member Board of Adjustment, and they would be, so that's what you're asking, is for this to be a special use permit, and special use permits are held, those meetings are held with the Board of Adjustment.
And if they deny you,
Then you're
We
going to be
can't
back to
override
square
it.
one. Okay, the rezone. So I
Well,
just want you to understand.
It's very confusing to someone who's not a part
Yes.
of, this part of zoning issues. I'm more a biologist and environmental regulator or whatever. I didn't know that it was just, that the building he's going to do manufacturing in could be limited that way. And if,
And Don and I tried to explain that to you, and I don't think you,
I would agree, I did not understand that.
and that's why I think Don and I were so shocked when you came in and were like, they absolutely do not.
Well,
And so we were, okay, that's fine if they don't want that,
They-
They have to do what they're comfortable with.
well, the problem was they didn't want the whole property. Because that was what they were afraid of, opening that up, and as I spoke earlier. I guess I would, go ahead, Justin. You want to talk about it? Go for it.
Good evening, I'm Justin Kappelman. I live 601 West First Avenue here in town. One of the 3 owners of K3 Recycling. I'm also the owner of Kappelman Appliance. To answer that question for you, one of the things is this is probably not going to be a permanent home for us. So the plan to go through the entire rezoning process to zone the building, and if we find another location to co-run with Kappelman Appliance a year from now, I have to go through this process all over again of rezoning another property or finding, it's if someone comes up. So I understand that concern, but it is not intended to be our permanent home. Kappelman Appliance right now is now in a temporary home, so I'm trying to find location for both. But that takes time, and my permit is going to run out well before I get this resolved with the location issue. That's one of the issues with special use permit.
Okay. How long of a process is what we're looking at if this is approved tonight, as opposed to?
If the ordinance change went into if you approved it tonight to go into effect in the ordinance, then he could make an application for the Board of Adjustment, and we could put him on the agenda for the April meeting.
Okay.
And he could, if they make the decision in April, then he could have he would have that decision in, I think it's April 11th. He would have the decision from the Board of Adjustment. If you decide not to put it in as an ordinance change tonight, and he has to make the rezoning application, then it would be May, because it would be zoning, he'd have to make a zoning application tonight, or tomorrow for April meeting, and then May for your Board of Supervisors. So it's kind of a 2-month 1 to 2 month turnaround, but his deadline is, it's up, isn't it, like right around first week of April, and you're gonna ask for an extension?
But I'm confused. Are you saying that right now, that building on Charlie Kappelman's property could be designated as M1, and that they could right away start demanufacturing it?
No, they have to make an application.
So they have to go through another application to get that, and that's where you're saying it would be 2 months?
So that's what she's asking, what are the time frames is what she was asking, if the ordinance changed, that's what she was trying to ask.
Okay.
Okay.
So the zoning of that
What
building will take 2 months, and the request for the Board of Adjustment would take about a month.
he would know if he could make that application tomorrow, and we could put it in and notify it in April 11th.
Okay.
But it sounds like he's not wanting this probably to be his permanent location, is kind of why he's pursuing more the ordinance change route. Is that what I'm gathering? The ordinance change, to put it in as a special use, and why you would be more going a special use route versus the rezoning, is what I'm gathering from you.
But you do run the possibility if we change it, that the Board of Adjustment could say no.
I understand.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right.
So, other information you've given, it's tough because I have to print out everything from the Department of Natural Resources. This isn't something that piles up like, where can I say this? We can't just leave these things piled up, heaped outside. Now, I'm not against farmers or anybody else, but there are some places all over Warren County that they're approved to pile whatever they want all over their properties. This has to be done in an enclosed facility. It actually violates the Department of Natural Resources to have them piled outside because if there's contaminants, which is more likely contaminants in agricultural equipment, but the rules are rules, that could leach into the ground, so they have to be under an enclosed space. I mean, what most places I pick up are doing in Warren County aren't even storing them correctly for pickup. I pick them up in the open air. So, if anything, what I'm doing is actually better for the environment. It's better for Warren County. It's all enclosed. It keeps it looking nice and neat the way we want Warren County to look.
And
So-
did you tell me at the last meeting that they just show up, they don't set their inspections, they just show up unexpectedly, right?
DNR?
Yes.
Correct.
They just show up to inspect you and don't tell you
Yes.
they're coming?
And it's Sue Johnson at the Lucas Building for the Department of Natural Resources.
Yeah.
And I have a copy of the regulations that DNR has for demanufacturing, and I hate to say it, it is quite lengthy that we have to go through, 13 pages, so it's not something they can just write on real quick. No, you go through quite a bit to make sure that you're in compliance. And there's a reporting requirement also. Annually, you have to report the number of each type of appliance that's demanufactured.
I don't think it's the question of what you're doing, I think that is amazing, but it's the ordinance change itself when we already have an ordinance in place for this. Plus, what door are we opening if we are going to give the special use permit? I don't know, so then I guess that's a board decision.
Yes. And the question I have is if we find a permanent location 9 months, a year from now, and it's not zoned industrial or M1 or industrial, whatever industrial is, more likely I have to start the rezoning process all over again. And that's it.
But you wouldn't have to go through this part, you know, you would just.
No, but I still make the application, pay the
Okay,
fee.
so you would just like to go to the board adjustment, so you're just looking at going in front of one board, is that,
Yes.
okay.
But
Okay,
you
you're allowed.
you know the downside.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anybody can say no at any time.
No, I know, but the adjustment board, that's it.
Well, and is there a possibility of a short time approval, say 9 months, or whatever Justin feels is appropriate?
Oh, like on a special use permit,
Mhm.
like a,
Temporary.
Temporary.
You mean of the ordinance change itself?
oh.
I
See,
think
I
that's
think
what
that's
they're-
what they're saying is, see, if it goes into the ordinance, it's actually in the ordinance.
Yeah.
That's the concern.
So it seems odd having an M1 out in the middle of agricultural community when everything's done in a building that's the size of a 2-car garage. And
But it would just be that building if you had gone through that process. It didn't have to be the whole 20 acres or however many acres you have. I don't think that was made clear, or that was understood. I think it was clear, but it wasn't understood.
Right.
But that's kind of where we're at now, but we need to take care of this ordinance change.
yes, this is the path I'm on currently right now.
Right.
I do not own that property, so I do not have authorization to make
Now,
say on it.
do you think you're going to be able to make your extension? Is that something that's granted on a basis?
DNR.
I don't know. I have yet to go up to the state building and talk with them about that right now. And as far as me, during that time frame, looking at another deployment within the next 9 to 10 months, I'll be gone. Business will be shut down anyway.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. It's tough. I'm in a spot right now is where I'm at.
Okay. And in your experience, how has the DNR handled this?
My experience, I think we can get DNR to allow a little bit of an extension. No, not 100% sure, but you know, DNR does understand, they've been in compliance, and it's just a matter now of trying to have the relocation. But I didn't know that Justin's up against even a bigger wall with reemployment.
I will add this. I would like to do a fix here because it does seem like it's one very limited nature. I can't imagine there's more than a handful at best of demanufacturers in our county. I mean, this literally is going to affect
This is it.
one or maybe two, but probably one. And so it would be my preference as a board to find a fix for this specific situation, with the understanding that I don't wish to change more than we need to in our ordinance, so that we don't have other potential future pitfalls that come from it. But with that, Lindsay, is there a solution to do a temporary up to a year fix where we can make an avenue available so that we can continue? Because what I fear is that if this is the entity where May is in Norwalk has cleanup days in May. There will be refrigerators and microwaves and other things, some of which are probably old. And if there's not a spot for those to go, it is my bigger fear that those are going to end up in our creeks and our streams and on our county roads. I do not want that at all. It seems to me as though I don't know Mr. Kappelman well. It seems to me like it's a very upstanding, reputable business where they're providing a service for people, and I have no issue with them continuing to do so. So I don't want to throw up roadblocks at all. But on the other hand, I also don't want to make an overarching change that could lead to future potential pitfalls. And so is there some middle ground solution where we can come up with a year decision? So we're taking it out of the hands of another board. We're making it a more streamlined approach for you all to get where we need to go, so that you can relocate where you need to be, and we can make this right. Is that conceivable, Lindsay? Am I wrong, or what are your thoughts there?
I was, if I
Or
could,
Dawn,
let me
or
try.
whoever.
Because I have a thought too, so
Okay.
when you talk it, then I'll.
Before you today is that addition to the ordinance itself that would allow us to go into that special use category in A1. That's what's before you right now, to allow this language to go in there. Whether that remains in the ordinance depends on whether anybody else comes forward and says, we believe this should be stricken from the ordinance or removed from the ordinance. If Lindsay has another idea, I'm certainly happy to hear. But if it goes into the ordinance, it stays until somebody asks for it to be removed.
Or theoretically, could the board, on its own initiative, change the ordinance in a year from now or 12 months from now?
Providing that's brought before the board by the director of zoning.
My other thought would be is we bring next month a change, not at their expense, since you're requesting a little different wording. Maybe we put this, we change the wording and put it under a specially, or under a principal permitted use under A1 and take it back to the zoning commission next month, bring it 2 weeks later back to you in April and have you hear it again, and just kind of allow, at this point, if we need to work with the state on his stuff, you know, it's kind of an understanding type thing, but we could make that change into the wording, like I said, not for instance, because it's coming from a request from you, but we change the wording to that and take it out as a special use permit, and we put it as a permitted use. And so it takes the whole, and then at that time, after he gets done what he needs to do, if we see we want to remove it back out of the ordinance in a year, we can delete it out of the ordinance again if we need to, or whatever.
Mr. Kappelman, would that be an acceptable solution for you?
I believe it would be, yes.
Where you at on your permitting that this would work? Don't you need to get your permit renewed or something?
Yes, there's a section in the application for the Department of Natural Resources that the county has to sign off on our site plan. There's a cost closure on the site plan. It's in the packet. The county needs to sign off that we are approved to do what we're doing, where we're doing it.
Yeah, there's a zoning requirement that DNR, and that's the only thing holding up the application, the renewal of their facility, is that zoning requirement. Everything else has been approved, federal, state, everything.
So is that something?
Yeah, as long as eventually you get me a letter that says they're approved by the zoning department.
Does that sound fair for a change wording wise?
I don't know about removing it from a year from now. I think if we get the appropriate wording and the special use, you said special use permit, principle, yeah.
It's just put it in there for the permitted use.
I think that would probably work even for your future plans, so, okay. All right. Any-
Thanks.
Yes,
Yes,
very much.
further input.
Did you want to, well, no, they're not.
Yeah, we're in public hearing. Yeah.
Is there any other?
Yeah.
It's Crystal.
Yep, are there any other public comments regarding this issue? You seeing and hearing none, I would take a motion to close our public hearing portion.
So moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye. Okay, now, I would entertain a motion to, okay, now this is the amendment.
I
Okay,
think we need to do
Yeah.
that.
we don't need to?
I don't think so.
Okay,
We're going to come back with it in a different format.
okay, okay, all right, thank you. All right, agenda item 3, a public hearing regarding placement and adoption of administrative penalties to Chapter 34 of the Industrial Waste Pretreatment Ordinance with possible action. Would entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
We're also here today for the third reading of the replacing our Chapter 34 in the Warren County Code of Ordinances with the new chapter from the Wastewater Reclamation Authority. This is the third time that particular part has been before the board. My recommendation remains the same, that the board adopt this new Chapter 34 in the Code of Ordinances. I would also ask that the board adopt the schedules of administrative penalties for Chapter 34. This is Division 5 and Division 6 within that chapter. These pertain only to entities that are part of the Wastewater Reclamation Authority, which is in the northern part of the county. And those fines are set by the Wastewater Reclamation Authority.
Okay, do I have anyone here who would like to speak to this issue? Seeing and hearing none, I would take a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. And according to the recommendation of Mrs. Bowman, we need to approve the Chapter 4 Industrial Waste Pretreatment Warren County Ordinances and adopt the, let's see, Division 5 and 6.
Yes, it's Chapter 34. This replaces Warren County's Chapter 34.
Okay.
I will make a motion to adopt the changes to Chapter 34 as presented and related schedules thereto.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, public hearing regarding elimination of the Hoover Street Bridge, parentheses number NBIS 51380, in parentheses, over Interstate 35 as part of the Iowa DOT Local Crossroad Bridge Incentive Program with possible action.
I move we go to public hearing.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. Okay, this is a public hearing. If anyone has any statements or comments you want to make, please come forward.
What's the proposed route for equipment to go down instead of going over, say, the Cumming Highway when aggregate comes in, or 92?
Okay, would you like to come up
Oh,
and state your
sorry.
name, please? And your address?
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
That's
No
okay.
worries. Rusty Cordick. And yeah, what's the proposed route for, say, tractors going down from, instead of crossing over 92 or Cumming Highway with like Fillmore being shut down right now? And the reason with Bevington and 92 is very highly trafficked, and with aggregate going in up and coming, personally, I don't want to be driving a four-wheel tractor down those highways with people not knowing how to drive around.
I guess the short answer to that is there is no proposed route since this was an initiative brought onto us by the Iowa Department of Transportation. And then the other brief statement I have is that we have not received any comments up until the second reading for this, but we did receive plenty of feedback, as you're aware, for the first reading. Thank you.
Any other comments? I did receive an email from a Donna King. Oh,
You want to read that first?
yes, I
I'll
mean,
wait.
it's short. This was on Thursday, March 14th, 2019 at 9:36 a.m. from Donna King at 285 Border Street in Martinsdale, Iowa, 50160. She said, I urge you to vote against the removal of the Cooper Street Bridge over the interstate. Why remove it and build another somewhere else? So many people use it, including school buses, my family, and even me. Thank you.
My name is Matt Van Dyke. I'm actually a Madison County resident. I live up on 78th Lane, which butts right into a Warren Avenue. So my primary route to work and taking kids into the normal walk for their school and for their activities is that bridge. I'm not alone in that. We have many residents out there that is their primary means, the most efficient and safest route. You don't have to turn onto Highway 92 with the bus and those blocking your view off to the west there. And you don't have to travel the very interesting Warren Avenue all the way north to G14. So even in an emergency situation, removal of that bridge would cause, there's no crossover easy access anywhere for at least 6 miles. Going north, we have 3 miles going south, so it's like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially considering that bridge just had $1 million or so put into it about 2 years ago for repair. So it's in good condition. There's just no reason to remove it.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mike Cassidy, I'm also a Madison County resident, but I live right off Warren Avenue. Growing up in that area, I grew up in a farm family. Of course, we have land on both sides of in Warren and Madison, so it's a very common travel road for all the agricultural equipment. Also the school bus, fire and rescue, all those types of things I think have been mentioned before. But the other concern is Bevington's pretty busy with the come and go, and there's a lot of semis in there and all those things, so you already have a lot of traffic down there. If you start pushing everything south, including the farm equipment, onto 92, I think it's going to create more risk and problems just by pushing the traffic down there rather than giving an outlet across the interstate.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. Did you have any further statements?
I guess what we would recommend, and based on Mr. DeCook's comments earlier with the consent agenda, is that the motion would be to waive the third reading and then to keep the Hoover Street Bridge crossing over Interstate 35. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion to eliminate the third reading of the Hoover Street Bridge over Interstate 35. And
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading of the Hoover Street Bridge closure. I didn't speak earlier during the public meeting comment section, but I've yet to hear from anyone in District 1. Every single person who it affects and who's reached out to me has adamantly requested to kill this thing. And with growing like it's growing, I just see more people using that avenue and thoroughfare with the farmers and with the condition of some of the county roads around that area. It just doesn't make sense to me to close it. I understand what the DOT wants to save money, but I don't feel it's in the best interest of our county. And so with that, I'll make a motion to eliminate the third reading and to end the discussion of the Hoover Street Bridge where we don't close it and yet keep it open.
Second.
Schultz?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye.
McIntyre?
Aye. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, consider Veterans Memorial Project with possible action. Okay, I have an email that I received from Michael Foss today concerning the Veterans Memorial Project. He said, let me give you a quick update. We have received commitments of over $17,000 for a $30,000 goal. The goal includes benches and finishes beyond the original goal of $25,000 because the Warren County Leadership Class of 2015 has chosen to raise funds for the purchase of such benches. Each will have a branch of our armed services engraved in its back. I'm also approaching the cities of Carlisle and Martinsdale to invite them to consider participation in this project. We see this opportunity, as you know, as a Warren County project and hope to include as many of our communities as feasible. What they might contribute is unknown. We will meet with their representative mayors and city clerks and see where we go from there. So we are more than 55% of the way there. So their goal is $30,000. As far as the golf benefit goes, he just lists some of his ideas for that. He wants to permanently thank those who helped with significant donations at the site itself. As one who has worked on a number of large organizations, I fully understand the need for parties and that over time some parties emerged that hadn't been fully appreciated earlier. So thank you for your ongoing consideration. So we have $5,000 set aside for the Veterans Memorial Project. This is a project with Freedom Rock in the middle, and we're set aside $5,000 in next year's budget, which would be July 1st, for them to receive up to $5,000 for pavers to go around the rock itself, so that the veterans who do visit that and the public will have a place to meditate instead of just the ground itself. So I would like for the board to consider designating an amount for this Veterans Memorial Project so they will have a better idea of how much they will continually need to fundraise for. Have any thoughts?
Sherwin, what are your thoughts on this one? Chris, what's your proposal on this one?
Well, of course, being a veteran, I fully support this. I'm grateful for those who have served past and present. This is a sacred place to me, and some place that I can get away. And I know it'll be the same thing for other veterans. However, I'm also very considerate of our tax dollars that we have earmarked up to $5,000 with all of the other commitments that we have at this time. I would like to half that amount to $2,500. It looks like there's a lot of interest in this, and I believe they will be able to raise their money easily. Those are my thoughts.
I'll speak next. I think it's a wonderful thing. I have no issue with the $5,000 that we sort of tentatively threw out earlier, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that number. So, you know, I guess I would urge the board to continue to support it in that amount. And I do think it's a benefit to the county. There's not that many Freedom Rocks in the state. Maybe there are certain folks that would prefer it in a different location, but it sort of is what it is at this point. And I think it's a good attraction for our veterans, and it's something that's pretty impressive. And so I'd like to support it in the amount of $5,000.
Is that a motion?
So I will move that motion to support it in the amount of $5,000, yes.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 6, consider amendment to Shive Hattery Incorporated Agreement for Administration of Audiovisual Consultation Services. Okay, this was brought about for the courthouse and jail because the courts have extensive need of audio and visual throughout their courtrooms. I believe our attorneys will also have a small part in this too, but the majority, the audiovisual services, the company that they brought to Shive Hattery to hire was one that they are working with currently on the Polk County Courthouse. So I have reached out to the courts and asked them for a commitment to help pay for this, and I have not received a single word back. So I would consider tabling this until we receive that letter of commitment from the courts. And that's what I'd like to do. So we'll go ahead and table this, and then go on to item 7, which is receive and file reports of the A, reporter, B, Veterans Affairs, C, Journal Assistance, and D, Humane Society. Yeah, I take a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Schultz,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye. Okay, agenda item 8 is Supervisors Report. Supervisor DeCook.
I always do so bad at this, and I always go first. You know, every time I do this, I always say I need to write down the stuff, the things and meetings that I attend, and then I don't do it, and then I get here, and then I jot them down in scribbly shorthand that you all can't read. With that, things that I recall, I attended a joint meeting between the 911 Board and Emergency Management, where I did not speak. I met with the mayor of Norwalk and the city administrator of Norwalk. I recall attending a meeting for HERDA. I spent some time last Saturday morning driving the gravel roads of our county, starting sort of near Medora, southern part. And then I sort of worked my way up the county, and I spent a considerable amount of time south of Norwalk, in sort of District 1 on our county secondary roads on Saturday morning. I then spent a considerable amount of time washing my truck because I was not right, and I let it sit there in my driveway for maybe 2 hours before I washed it, and it sort of dried up a little bit. Additionally, we've had some special sessions. I've met with our county engineer a couple times since the last meeting, and I met with our county attorney as well. Those are what I recall offhand.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Schultz?
I met with IMU, the city, Warren County Economic Development, and sort of what Aaron alluded to, we've had all kinds of meetings concerning the roads, the Justice Center and jail, some budget items. And I also took a trip on the road, I think it was last Wednesday, and we did wash the vehicle right away.
That's because you're brighter than I am.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Schultz. Okay. My activities since our last regular board meeting are the Warren County fiscal year 2020 budget public hearing, Warren County Assessor fiscal year 2020 budget public hearing, met with media on county updates, architectural and engineering meeting with users, DCI and Shive Hattery concerning the courthouse and jail, met with Norwalk City Manager, special meeting for financial advisor presentations. Oh, no, sorry, that's not. Special meeting with engineer to embargo public county unpaved roads. Attended a joint meeting with Emergency Management Commission and the Warren County Joint 911 Service Board, where the commission voted to move forward with the purchase of a Warren County 911 communication system. Architectural and engineering meetings, again with DCI Shive concerning the courthouse and jail. Special meeting to allow the engineer to purchase rock to be reimbursed by reserve later when amendments are usually done. Attended the state 911 board meeting, attended the ISIX board meeting. Special meeting to allow purchase of budgeted contract haul rock, met with county attorney, met with engineer and staff concerning embargo and complaints, answered emails, phone calls, and citizens about road conditions, courthouse and jail conference call with architect and construction manager. And I too have been driving county roads, but I live on one, so I don't get the luxury of washing my car and letting it stay clean. So thanks a lot, guys. All right, moving on to agenda item 9, which is part of our agenda addition. And we have Mr. Hobbs' video presentation.
Should I stand here and give
Yep.
my presentation from here
Yep.
to you, or?
Sure. Would you state your name and your address, please?
My name is Bradley Hobbs, and my address is 21897 120th Avenue.
Thank you.
Indianola. Nathan, could you advance that about a third of the way through?
Yep.
That'd be great, and then you can just let it run, and then I'll just make my presentation. This is kind of timely. I'm here today to talk about a unique road situation where and you can see in the video here on that hill in the background there, there's an S-curve in the top of that hill. And so, and these are real steep, real high hills. And the problem is that there's limited sight distance there. So it's a real problem. And the roadway there, on the left up there, Can you advance it some more, Nathan, please? Can you speed it up there? And then the condition of the road is a problem. I didn't necessarily mean to make that part of this presentation, but it just happened to be. This film was made September 13th in last year. It was a beautiful sunny day, and and there did happen to be on the left side of the this road here. There's a washout there, and so people are forced off to the right. And then there, on the right side of this road here is a ditch, and the further up the hill you go, the ditch gets real deep. You can see there's Kenny Webb there. So you can see right there, it's that way all up that side of that hill. And so the people are forced to the middle of that road, and that's a steep hill, it's a short sight distance, and I drive it frequently, and I've just been so afraid that somebody's gonna, at the top of that hill, meet someday. And speed it up a little bit more, Nathan, and I'll tell you when to stop. There's Indian Hills Cemetery, and just a little bit later, I think you'll get to see more of the erosion in this little bit right here. But it causes the people to move over, and if you look, the people that are traveling north, that's on the east side there, on the left, the people that are heading south should actually be over on the right, but they're almost on the left, and because both sides are being forced to the middle of the road, it's almost an accident ready to happen. So go ahead and advance it again, Nathan, thank you. And then to complicate things, this, not quite yet, go a little further, there you go. There's a ditch here on the right, and it's about 15 feet down in there, and people, I know for myself, I get kind of antsy going by there because the gravel on that side of the road, it kind of draws you into the ditch. If you go there, there's a big hill then too, and you roll all the way to the bottom. And so if you look at that road, there's just 2 lanes where the tires go right through the center of that hill. It looks like a small hill, but it's got a sharp apex in it that you can't see over. It's a short sight distance. And so that's the second one. And go ahead and advance it again, Nathan. And now, great, that's a great spot. And just keep running it there. Now now we're going north. And so we're going the other direction, back towards Indianola. And this is, the vegetation has grown out into the road, and there's even grass growing on the road because there's nobody using that part of the road. And go ahead and advance it again, Nathan, thank you. And that, again, forces people. That's great right there. Now, here's another, just 100 yards further down the road from that last presentation. And the trees are sticking out even further here. And now that hill is, I would guess that hill there, maybe it's 100 yards. And this car here that would be going by here, he'd be in the middle of the road. And if that guy was in the middle of the road there's just, that's the kind of the nature of this section of the road. And I'm sure there's other places like this, but I have to live by it. And I would hope that something could be done. Go ahead and advance it again, Nathan, thank you. And now, okay, that's great. Now we're at the very top of the hill by Jim Benson's, and we're looking down the hill. And I wanted to show you, I don't know if I can point up there, but it looks like, if you can see that back there, that's the road on the other hill. And it looks like the road goes straight there. But there's a curve right after that. where the crest of that hill. So it kind of puts a person in a where they would kind of be fooled, and so they're not people who have not ever traveled that road might not be expecting a curve just after the crest of that hill. And advance it just a little bit more, Nathan. Thank you. There we go. That's good. Now this is the cemetery there, and it's an appropriate place to maybe end this here because this is the worst place right here, because that's a real steep hill that goes down there, and this would be the worst. And it's kind of appropriate to end here, right by the cemetery, because that might be appropriate. So, and my thought would be, it could be people need to be aware of this stretch of road and be more mindful of their driving habits. And because a lot of driving is mindless, and most places you can eat, put on your makeup or whatever, but in this stretch of road here, people need to be aware. And I think I would be asking the engineers to consider some type of warning device along the road there, slow down or limited sight distance, to make this a safer area to travel.
Brad, what's the road, what's the name of the road?
It's 120th Avenue. It's there's only 2 miles left of the county down there, and
It's off of G76.
yeah, and this is right here. It's north of G76. But there's semis travel that. They haul cattle to market on that road, and then one of the things they do is they get going fast so they can keep up their speed so they can go up the next hill. And they really, I'm going to tell you, one day it's going to happen. It might not be semis, but it might be cars. And,
is there a sign on the road that says there's a sharp turn at the top of the hill?
No, there's no signage, and I think that if it was just slow down, you know, that would give people time to react. But in these instances where the hill is sharp like this, you don't. If you meet up there in the top, you have no chance to react or get out of the way. And if you just could slow people down, that would help. But also, if you could warn them maybe about the limited sight distances and stuff like that. And I think for the county's benefit, it might save them some on their liability, because something happened there and it was an obvious dangerous situation. Who knows with insurances these days. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 10 is, that's coming up on number 13. Yes, sir. Okay, so we're on item number 10, consider opposing Senate Studies Bill 1045 and Senate File 184 passed by the Senate Committee on Transportation with possible action.
I would just recommend we read the resolution set for us, because it does explain kind of the purpose of why we're recommending that we sort of send a message, so to speak, to the legislator about why it's a bad idea to start possibly allowing 130,000-pound loads onto our bridges that were designed based on 80,000-pound loads.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's agenda item number 10. Did you get a copy of it? Yes. Nope. Oh, well, I did on the end of the agenda on the original one, after number 8. Okay. So, no, that's all right. All right. This is a resolution that we would be passing, And it reads as follows. Whereas the Transportation Committee in the Iowa State Senate has passed House Study Bill 145, Senate File 184, which would amend and make changes to the Iowa Code, Chapter 321, related to transportation of invisible loads and raw forestry products on primary and non-primary highways. And whereas Warren County owns and maintains non-primary highways and is fiscally and legally responsible for the non-primary highways within the county, and whereas Warren County owns and maintains approximately 188 structures classified as bridges by the National Bridge Inspection Standards, and whereas many of the bridges owned by Warren County are aging and structurally deficient or functionally obsolete, and whereas current funding is not adequate to replace or rehabilitate these bridges at the rate their conditions are deteriorating, and whereas the non-primary roads and bridges owned by Warren County serve a critical need for our residents, agricultural users, businesses, schools, post offices, and emergency responders, and whereas the proposed bill would allow the Iowa Department of Transportation to issue annual permits to forestry industry haulers for loads up to 130,000 pounds on non-primary highways throughout Iowa without knowledge of or notice given to the agencies which own these highways and the structures thereon. And whereas bridges within Warren County have been designated for loads that are legal on Iowa roads at the time of their construction, and bridges have only been rated or posted with weight restrictions for loads that are currently legal on roads, and whereas each bridge within Warren County is unique based on its age, design, and current condition, and whereas load ratings to ensure safe passage of loads greater than 80,000 pounds would be unique for each load on each individual bridge, and whereas the traversing of Warren County bridges by loads up to 130,000 pounds without the county being afforded the knowledge of or the ability to restrict each occurrence would result in gradual and possibly sudden failure of bridges within the county, and whereas Warren County would likely bear legal and financial liability for subsequent failure of its bridges, even if such failures are caused by loads they did not permit, and whereas Warren County is not financially able to repair or replace bridges which would be subject to accelerated deterioration by increased loads, and whereas Warren County and its residents, farmers, businesses, schools, post offices, and emergency responders would be subjected to undue operational and economic hardships by further degradation of its road system and the structures thereon. Therefore, be it resolved that the Warren County Board of Supervisors strongly urges all Iowa lawmakers to vote in opposition of this legislation.
David, where did the resolution come from?
Lee County.
Yeah, Lee County engineer spearheaded the movement, who serves on the executive board for the legislative end of things for the county engineers.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution to urge our lawmakers not to pass the Senate File 184. Furthermore, I see that we have a well-attended audience tonight, and I will tell you that while this bill deals predominantly with forestry products on our primary and non-primary highways, that might not affect us per se. Call your legislators. Let them know that this probably impacts up to 20 tops Iowa forestry companies, but wherever that's happening, whether it's here or other counties, bridges are going to suffer from this. And it's going to benefit a very small number of people, but when the bridges collapse or when the bridges have structural integrity problems, it'll be the taxpayers who pay for it. So write it down, 184, please call your legislators and tell them, no, we don't need that. I don't know how much that affects our county per se, but let's send a message to them that we don't want that on our rural bridges that can't handle the loads. They're not built for them. They never were intended for them. It doesn't benefit you unless you own a forest company somewhere in Warren County that I don't know about. But let's vote. Let's send a message here.
And I think another pointer to that, to add on, is it kind of begs the question, is it going to open Pandora's box to other, outfits out there, whatever they may be, besides forestry?
Thank you. Okay, I believe we have a motion. Do we have a second?
That was my motion, to approve the resolution.
And I'll second it, but I can't repeat everything.
Dawn's got it.
Right.
She's a quick typer.
That's what we have the folder for. Show,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye. Okay, item 11 is consider 10-ton weight limit restriction on 80th Avenue from Carpenter Street to Beardsley Street with possible action.
So this was tabled at a prior meeting for discussion at a later meeting, so we put it on this meeting's agenda. But this would be to reinstate a 10-ton weight limit on 80th Avenue from Carpenter Street to Beardsley Street. This would, by code, only have a 90-day limit. The goal of the 10-ton weight limit is just to reduce the impact on that road during this spring period when we do have the higher precipitation events. I think some of the concerns are, our garbage trucks or school buses is going to be allowed to use the road, but I feel that we see it as more of a, urban type or city situation where you'll see in most cities they have a 5-ton weight limit, but you're still able to get your garbage service, your school bus and things of that nature. And if we do need to avoid the confusion, we could also put, local traffic exempt or some sort of signage under the weight limit sign to make it even clearer, as well as we have signs that say the word new on them in yellow to further denote that this is a new resolution. If this passes today, but it is up for discussion, and but our department recommends the 10-ton limit, but again, it's only 90 days, so it depends on how much benefit we really feel we're going to get out of it.
Any questions?
No. I'll make a motion to approve a 10-ton weight limit restriction on 80th Avenue from Carpenter to Beardsley Street, with the exception of local traffic inclusive thereof, of garbage and school busing and other local, I think there's a farm there, Ellis Farms there.
Yeah, like your UPS and all that.
With the exception of local traffic, I'm okay with the weight embargo. We certainly don't need semis that could take 28 or another route. That might save them 2 or 3 minutes, but if they're non-local traffic, for this period of time, for 90 days, they can drive around it to help preserve the road until we get it fixed in 2000.
Second.
Show,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye. Okay, agenda item 12, consider discussion regarding 10-ton embargo on all unpaved public county roads with possible action.
After personally driving the roads, talking with staff, we recommend that the embargo is lifted tonight at today's meeting. Thank you.
Can I entertain a motion?
I will move that the 10-ton weight embargo on all county unpaved roads be lifted at this time.
Alan's got a point of information. Didn't you only pass a 10-day?
Yes,
And
so
that went off on
if
Monday?
not tonight, it's going to be what, Thursday?
Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Second.
Show,
Aye.
DeCook,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye. Okay, we are on agenda item 13, which is public input. So this is your time for us to hear from you.
I'm Gary Beekman, 2750 Hamilton Street. And my daughter found this. I read it. I think, Aaron, are you my district? I think. Do you know where this place? Take this place.
I'm the supervisor of District 1, yes.
Okay. Will you take that home and look at it? I do construction. I thought it was very interesting. Thank you. Mom. And I thank you for looking at the roads. But Saturday, it wasn't raining, was it?
No, sir.
I'd like, if you would, come out in my area when it's raining and look at the roads. That'll tell you a lot about what's in that book there on it, to take care of it. And then I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but tonight, around 4:30, the road grader was on Hamilton Street going west with his blade up. There's ruts in that road, and I would appreciate it on your way home tonight, and they're dry, you won't have to wash your truck, if you'll take 30th in Hamilton and drive across those roads. Tonight when you go home, or early in the morning, and just see what kind of shape you are after a road grader went over with the blade up. That's, was it?
Say the address again, sir.
2750 Hamilton Street, just north of Churchville.
Hamilton, and what was the other intersection?
30th. And if you head west,
I will.
and I was raised my whole life there, and we've had good roads in Warren County. And I don't know if he's still alive, but Marvin Putney, he done an excellent job on the roads when he did. But you probably won't know, and I don't even know if Marvin Putney is still alive or not. But ditches, you know, read that and understand it. I thought I enjoyed reading it. So.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, board.
No.
I'd like to start here, along with others that are here to address the conditions of our roads. We've been driving for 10, 20, 30 years, and they are getting worse. The area that we're talking about is Briggs, 153rd, Blue, 150th, and Buchanan.
Can we get your name?
I'm Kelly Penman. I live at 15293 Arthur Trail,
Thank you.
at the end of 150th Street Road. 10 years ago, the roads were in dire need of attention, and the landowners in the area, approximately 60, proposed to contribute funds toward a more permanent solution to this problem. Warren County said they would put this area on a 5-year assessment plan. We jumped way ahead to 2015 and 2016 now. In the spring of 2016, Warren County applied much-needed rock and gravel to the above-mentioned roads. This was in the reaction to concerns and complaints expressed by homeowners during the April 2016 Warren County Board of Supervisors meeting, which 2 of the current supervisors and engineer were in attendance. Again, Warren County said we needed to get on the 5-year assessment plan. Shouldn't we have already been on this plan? Since then, our roads have still not been maintained properly to be brought up to a level A condition. This begs the question, where are we at on that 5-year plan? Back in 2015, there was email sent, and I have a copy for each of you to take home and read tonight. There was an email sent by one of the homeowners out there that's lived out there since 1988. He since has moved 2 years ago. The owners of that home are here tonight. He said, I've been told following several times, you knew it was a gravel road when you moved there. It's a dead-end road, so you shouldn't expect good road conditions. We have a lot more important areas of the county to work on. We put together a letter, are we satisfied with our roads out there, to these 60 homeowners that live in this little area, to attend the April 5th board meeting. This email was sent to the 3 people on the board up here on December the 4th, this email. In here it shows you the map, where all the homes are and where we're at.
What was the date of that email?
Pardon me?
December 4th.
This was sent December the 4th, 2015.
Oh.
This was,
Sorry, I didn't receive a copy of that.
this was sent to the 3 board members. 2 of them are still here. Okay. Then we made up this thing. I passed it out from door to door to 60-some homes. We had it turn out like this. These are the people from this community, a lot of them in here. We asked them to try to attend this meeting. We asked them again to attend another meeting. We put out a memo again, and we passed out 75. We got a lot of people here. This person that wrote this email got a response. This one is on April the 1st of 2016. I read this, and it disturbs me a little bit, because it says only that campaign contributors get their special projects done or a favor for a friend. This email was from one of the people up here on this board.
Probably me.
Pardon me?
Probably me.
It was Crystal McIntyre. So this email was sent 4 months after this email was sent about the conditions of our road. And this guy's lived out there since 1988. I want to thank you for the rock you put on 150th today out at the end of our road. I wasn't able to attend your meeting on April the 5th, which was 3 days after this email that was sent back from the board to this person. So I had this lady attend the meeting, and here's what she wrote, and she read to you guys. And she's here tonight. It's not just the men out there that they say that we're complaining. The women out there complain just as much as we do. The roads, we put up with this every day. Even in the summertime, Briggs is horrible. The other hills I called probably in August, September to get some rock on Blue. Blue's horrible. They would not even maintain yesterday when they came out and bladed our roads. They did not maintain the hill on 150th until they put some rock on it to maintain it. We've been here 10 years trying to fight to get something done and maintain this road. I ask you, where are we at to get these roads repaired to where they are? We don't have to, the school bus has been pulled 2 times out of the bottom of 150th. The first time it was very muddy down there. There was no rock on the hill. You put rock on that hill before, 3-inch rock or better. The rock you put under today, I'm glad it's there, it does help. But where are we at on this 5-year plan that we started over 10 years ago to do something with this area? That 60 plus some homes, because there has been more homes built out there since then, to raise the tax dollar up. I know it all don't go there for the roads. But I ask again, where are we at? I thank you for my time. Hope you get feedback from you is where we are on these roads. And here's a copy of their number 1 through 4 on the top. The same the ones that I discussed here that we went on in 2015 through 2016. We are now into the 4th year after we were down here with this situation. And we are worse today than we were then. The roads are getting worse, very bad. I've lived there for 22 years. There's a lot of homes, a lot of people. And I just wish that Warren County would, work with us some so we can work with you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
All the problems I've been reporting are exactly the same that I have been talking to Warren County for years. Nothing's been done. New ones. Number one, since the snow is gone, you guys did a good job on getting the snow out of there. We had tons of snow. Nothing changed in the seat of the pavement at the 600 block of Greenville Parkway. It's gone down this winter, I think. Sticking away from the driveways. The void under that street, still flowing water. Mud jacking from 1981 is no longer there. Nothing done since then. Number two, this was kind of a strange one. York Creek will have the water in 200 and 300 block of Gap Parkway. Seems to have gone down some, exposing the breaking up of the street underneath where the water was. Seems like the street's starting to crack up and go down now. There's a lot of damage. I don't know if you couldn't see the damage. Water and the ice on it, but now you can see it. Number three is an old one, the backyard storm drain at 8038 Warren Drive. That's been an old one. And now it's affecting the backyards on Crestview and the sanitary sewers. The woman says no one's ever come out to check it. And that's been 3 or 4 years. The three areas I'm talking about for years. I'm just wondering if we have to wait till somebody gets hurt. Got one new one. This not as bad. It's bad, but it's good. Only new spot. It's been a sinkhole that's been reported to me in Warren County on Lima Drive, close to Palomino Parkway. And that's
What's the address?
I'm not sure the address. It's right up the street from Sondima, half a block north from Palomino Parkway. Probably 8,030 or something like that, Sondima Drive. Somebody called me, and it's a new sinkhole. And I suggested that the school systems have new drivers trained to teach you how to dodge potholes while dodging drivers that are dodging potholes, especially in Des Moines. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
My name is Taylor Smothers. I live at 1923 150th Avenue. I would like to just kind of continue what Mr. Penman was up here talking about, condition of the roads on Briggs, 153rd, Blue Street, and 150th. In the past 3 weeks, my garbage has not been picked up because my garbage truck can't make it down my road. For the last 2 months, my wife and I have had to adjust our work schedules so that we can drive our child to work, because the district has said we are the only school bus in the district that is not able to make it to our house. So for the past 2 months, my wife and I have had to take our daughter up to hard surfaces so we can drop her off at the school bus. And this is because the school bus had gotten stuck on our road after multiple times we called the county engineer to bring a maintainer out to get loads of rock. That was never done. Our school bus got stuck. What's most frustrating to me is that there are many people on our road that have very important jobs, very important things to do. Myself, one of my jobs is a full-time firefighter, paramedic for the city of Johnston. My schedule, I go to work for 2 days, and then I get 4 days off. I do very vividly remember Supervisor McIntyre, when you were campaigning, that you had specifically came to the fire department I was working for at the time, and one of your promises was that you were frustrated about the conditions of the roads. And you had promised to my fire department, in the town I live in, that you would fix the roads so that our firefighters, our paramedics, can get to work and can get home. So last week, when I was heading to work, approximately 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, when the roads are mostly frozen, when they're in their best conditions, I drive a 2015 3/4 ton diesel 4-wheel drive truck. It took not one, not two,
but 3 attempts to get up my county road so that I could get from my driveway to the top of my hill. It took 3 attempts in a 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive diesel truck to get up the county road on the frozen roads when they're in their best conditions. So for me to get to work, I am relieving somebody that's been at work for 48 hours, that's done their job for 48 hours. So I have to get to work so they can go home and rest and spend time with their family. If I can't get to work, they can't do that. It also concerns me that if I can't get out of my roads, there are a lot of elderly that live in our areas. I have 2 children, a lot of my neighbors have 2 children, or have several children. If I can't get out, it's gonna be very difficult for ambulances to get into our area. I can guarantee you, I drive a fire truck for a living, I can guarantee you a fire truck will not make it to my house. They will sit at the top of the hill, bring most likely a brush truck, which is designed to fight grass fires, which carries about 150 gallon of water. If my house is on fire, even a small kitchen fire, small fire in the bedroom, guarantee you it's not even gonna touch it. My wife and I call 2 to 3 times every single week to get a maintainer and rock on our road. Sometimes a maintainer comes out. Very, very rarely do they come put rock. This last winter, we've had to pull people up the roads because they've been stuck on the roads. The maintainer was down on our road yesterday, and today, when I had driven home, 150th Avenue has ruts, it has potholes, and this was after less than 12 hours after a maintainer had been down. They come down and they run a maintainer, which is good until 5 or 6 vehicles drive down it. It's a mud road. It's not a gravel road at this point. It's a level B road. It's nothing but mud. So today they put 1 load of rock. I talked to the maintainer when he was out there. They put 1 load of rock at the bottom of the hill. It's better than nothing, but it's not even a Band-Aid. It's not even a Band-Aid on the situation. So, I very respectfully ask you to please fix our road as you had promised to do, which caused me to vote for you. So please do this so that my garbage can get picked up, so that my kids can get to school on the school bus, so that I can get to work, so that everybody else in my community can get to work, and that, God forbid, an ambulance or fire truck has to get down our roads. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other public comments?
I'd just like to address, I think Kelly posed the question, the status, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but last time, and this was a couple years ago or so, I believe we mentioned that there is a process where you fill out a petition per Iowa code. As part of the solutions that were discussed was to pave the area. And part of the pushback on that was, why do we need to fill out a petition if we've gone through this process before? Well, properties change hands, there's different owners, that's why we need to fill out another petition and hit the reset button when we have new leadership, so to speak, in the county. I guess our office has yet to see that petition. That is, again, per Iowa code, if that is the solution that area needs, where there could be a special district or special assessment district set up in that area based on that petition. So until we see a updated petition with current property owners, there's not a whole lot we can do, because that is the process that is laid out in the Iowa code. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that.
Yeah,
when we met with the county over 10 years ago, we had lawyers on it. We had the people that said what it would cost to do the road. You know, we put this on the agenda 10 years ago. where did we go from there? Because this was done back then, 10 years ago. And they just keep saying it's 10, we have to apply every 5 years for the 5-year plan. Or where did we go 10 years ago? I mean, it just wants us and these homeowners back here complaining about our road. We had people that stood up and helped us and worked with us on this. So what we asked then, when we came in 2016, they said, well, you need to put in this, application app for the road. This was done 10 years ago. And we're not there. And I understand a lot of the people out here, everybody that lives on our driveway, even your maintainer the other day said he didn't realize that there were 5 homes on our driveway. And when they did come, and this road that he's talking about where they put the rock, they wouldn't even grade it yesterday. They had to put rock on it before they would even grade it. And I thank them for the rock on it. But where did we go wrong 10 years ago? That's what I'm asking when this was all done with lawyers and the council. So I don't have the papers there. Somewhere this went wrong. And it just seems like, I'm gonna tell you, I've lived out there for 22 years. 15 years ago, Warren County quit taking care of the roads. So that's why we came 5 years later, which would be 10 years ago, and we offered the homeowners all out there, a lot of them even offered to pay. We came up with like $300,000 to help pay for the road, to do something with it. We have had homeowners even said they would even pay more. And we didn't get anywhere. The county came back and said, we'll give you $3,000 for each mile. I believe it's in the papers, and there's only probably maybe 1.5 miles of the road we're talking about here, at the very most 2 miles. But we started this 10 years ago, and we've been left in the dark for 10 years. And they are right. When you guys did come out, and they worked on clearing the trees, that some of the homeowners were very upset because you cut all their trees down. You dug the ditches out on Briggs. You went down 150th or 53rd. Then when you started down Blue, you done a little bit. You never did come back and do the ditches. You never come back and do the trees. This has been over 2 years ago, and we're still waiting. Like I always say, it's like Warren County doesn't think we live out there, that there are no homes. There's 35 homes back from Briggs to turn to go back down in there. I mean, there's probably 65 homes back there now. They just built a couple more last year. I mean, we've been to the meetings, we've asked, we've tried to work with you. We tried to pay for half of it, or you see where we're at. There may even be a possible that the people would still help pay for it. But where are we gonna start? If we wait another 5 years to start, our roads really need rock year round. Because the hill that he's talking about in front of his house coming up, and on Blue, they were like this last summer. Because we called in to get rock on them. They can look back through and, that we needed rock then. We've had a bad winter, I understand. But when you come down to the end of 150th, the school bus got stuck before it ever snowed. This is the condition of the road before winter. A lot of these roads are in this condition. Briggs has got some part of a base to it, but it's like a washboard from one to the other. They laid what little rock there is on it. There's not much of a crown. As soon as it rains, it's a washboard again. I ask you to drive, when, after we get, when they are gonna rock, are they planning on doing any rock? Because Warren County roads are very, very much in trouble. And it's gonna take years to fix them. If Warren County would have worked with us 10 years ago, a lot of these homeowners wouldn't even be in here today. You wouldn't have to have a meeting at 6 o'clock at night so people could come in and ruin your whole evening. Well, I'm glad that you are here at 6 o'clock at night to let the people come in and express themselves. My wife already knows that she wanted to remodel the house. I said, let's sell the house and move to the highway. One of the neighbors that lived out there that wrote the one email, he moved about 2 years ago. That homeowner is here. His wife said, I wish he would have disclosed in the deal that the gravel roads were like this all the time. A lot of people move out there. They like to move to the country, but we like to be able to get out of the country too. I mean, I don't know where we're going to start. I mean, we've been told, you know, the school buses should have blades on them. We've been told buses don't plow, or the trucks don't plow downhill. I mean, I've been told so many times, because believe me, I know, you know, I'm not liked down here very much at times, but we want to fix our roads. And we'd like for you guys to work with us and help us out to do something. So if we have to put the paperwork together for 10 more years, she could probably talk me into staying 10 more years out there. It'd be nice if they'd do something, even if it's not pavement, or if it's not asphalt. The rock would really help. And it would help if they come on down around Blue and 150th and finish the tree work you started 2 years ago, and dig the ditches out that you started on 2 years ago. In that one first email there, if you read that, clear back in 88, 89, whatever that was, whoever the Bob Sandy was or that, on our little hill, there is no ditch. And they said that they would take and come out. They talked about moving the telephone pole over, dig the ditches out, because all the snow that we do, but we did have snow this deep. I did see them this year when they were knocking all the snow off the sides of the road. They came up Briggs, they came up 153rd, they turned around their truck and that's it. They didn't come down Blue or hit 150th. 3 or 4 days later, when I called down and talked to Heather, I said, I would like for you to give a comment on what's going on here. And she said, well, if you're nice, you know, and so I'm trying to be very nice this time. I know we've had arguments before. I said, you know, they came out here and they bladed all the snow off the sides of the road, but they didn't come down Blue or 150th. And the snow's this deep on the sides of the road. Because all this is what's causing the road not to work. And they never dug the ditches out. This is also another issue. They came out early this year and dumped rock at 153rd and Briggs at the intersection. Well, it disappeared pretty quick. They dumped rock on Blue and other places, and when they dumped it, I know they were hoping that it wasn't going to snow, so it could get packed in. Once the trucks dumped it, that's all they did with it. When he came out, and I would ask any of you tomorrow to get in your vehicle and come out and drive this road. The rock that they put in the center of that road is all down the side of the road. Go clear to the very dead end at Arthur Trail, and that's where all that rock is. And I know that the guy yesterday, he didn't pull it over there. When it dries a little more, he can grab that rock and bring it back. But they never came down the road and finished the job there. That's why I keep saying, for some reason, somebody down here doesn't think we live out there. We just keep getting ignored from the top of 153rd down to the bottom of that dead road. So, I really wish you'd, help us out and fix our roads so people can get in and out. I've had to go to the top of the hill and pick up a new washer and a dryer. I've had to go to the top of the hill to pick up a sewing machine. People that deliver out there, UPS people, the people that deliver, they know that road. They won't come out because they know that the roads are bad and they can't get out. It's dead end road, one way in and one way out. That's the issue. I mean, I'm speaking of all the roads out there are getting really bad, but I have to say one way in. The school bus got stuck the other day. We had 2.5 to 3 inches of snow, I believe. I do have video set behind it. They ended up had the school department come out. My granddaughter today was telling me, because she's telling her dad, that when the truck hooked onto the bus, that they jerked it and jerked it and jerked it. The school department did to get the bus over the top of the road, and the bus was loaded with all the children. These are my grandchildren on that bus. I don't have any children home no more. I can stay home in my house and not travel these roads. But these are grandchildren and children of these people of the community that are riding on a bus that couldn't make it up that little bitty hill because we had 2.5 inches of snow or 3 inches, whatever it was, because they never came out and maintained it. And they are right. We've had some ice out there. And they have sent the road maintainer out to take the ice and get the ice out so people could get out this year. They don't seem to come out there and blade the road. They used to come out early in the morning and hit that road. Now it seems like we're down the road a ways before it's been noon before they came out and bladed our road some days. So, and these are heavy snows. Now, this is the first year with 7 snows. I'm retired. I can stay home. I don't have to go out. But a lot of people do have to get out. And they are true. An ambulance and a fire truck, they won't make it in out there. and they won't make it out. And we've been working on this for 10 years for this community, that we haven't got anywhere. We're worse today than we was 10 years ago. If we have to get the form, fill it out, I'd like to make an appointment, come down, and we'll get the form made out, we get it sent in and see what we gotta do. I think if we look back through the paperwork somewhere, stored somewhere, that it's already there. But you guys wasn't on the board then, and everybody kicks the can down the road. So, I know you wasn't in, but none of you were there. But I still ask that, you know, that we try to work with us and fix our roads out there in that area, because they are falling totally apart. Thank you.
Thank you. I really wish I could address this, but due to the requirements of the open meeting law, I cannot. But next, yes.
Paula Sampson, I'm at 2013 153rd Avenue. I'm at the very end of 153rd. I think it would be an interesting exercise to find out what the tax base is out there with all the homeowners and the tax dollars that come into this county. And I know a lot of it goes to the schools, but my taxes keep going up and I'm not getting any more services. If I can't get out my road, that is very minimal. That is a very minimal expectation in my view, as far as what the county can do. You know, if you don't do anything for us except roads that I can see, and that's not being done. So, where are our tax dollars going? Anybody have any idea?
I can't comment on it because of open meeting law, but I will put this as an agenda item for the April 16th meeting.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Sorry, sir.
What will be on the 16th, out of curiosity?
I'm going to put it as an agenda item to address some of these questions that have been posed tonight.
Okay. David Murray, 2160 152nd Lane. I'm right off 153rd and Blue also. I'm not going to repeat what Kelly and everybody else has said. A couple things I would add is I think they did a survey about 2 years ago of the traffic there. They happened to do it when Scotch Ridge was closed. So very deceiving in the amount of traffic out there. The second thing is there is no crown on our road. They did do the ditches, they did the trees. I was just out there, I think they came out Monday or Sunday to do the maintainer, but they don't crown it. They put very, very little gravel and it sits right in there and now they wash it. They are 1,000% better than they were a week ago. My wife got stuck, she has a 4-wheel drive, I had to pull her out. 4-wheel drive getting stuck in your own lane, terrible. I know you can't address it, but I'd like to see more of what are we going to do going forward, how are we going to do it, whether or not the homeowners need to be there that were a year ago, decided the petition, or 10 years, we're going to change hands as we go. So I'd like to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. No crown, very little gravel. I just want to drive them. I don't care if it's pavement. But you want to wash your car after that? I can't wash my car a year. I got an expensive vehicle. Can't wash it. Waste of money. So I don't know who was here. I don't know who wasn't when this happened. But I'd like to see something going forward. Thank you.
I would just say, I believe the board has been addressing moving forward. We have received the most revenues we've ever received going into fiscal year 20, and that revenue increase has directly been put into rock hauling into the county with more belly dump trucks and employees to do so. So anytime our department sees an increase in revenues, almost 100% of that goes towards maintaining the gravel roads because we understand it's a big concern. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Comer. I live at 2417 149th Lane, which is at the very west end of Briggs, in the same area that Kelly and the other neighbors here are from. And again, just want to really impress upon you that we're not complaining about dirty vehicles. That comes with the territory. We're talking about real safety issues when you have school buses going in ditches, when your wife can't leave the house for 2 or 3 days because I have the only 4-wheel drive vehicle and I've got to get to work. You know, when the road is reduced to barely a single lane at the crest of hills and your teenage son has to go out and you worry about him meeting other cars at the top of hills. We're talking about real serious safety issues here that need to be addressed, and quit passing the buck to, you know, the next person. We need solutions. So, thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Tanner Lentz. I live at 15543 Bridge Street. I didn't plan to speak tonight, but hearing everybody else, I moved to my house in September of 2007. At that time, I've got a blacktop driveway. My driveway hasn't moved heights. At that time, the crest of the road was above my driveway. Actually, I take a push broom out and sweep rocks off my blacktop driveway. When I drive in, they crush the blacktop up, so forth. My driveway hasn't changed since I moved in. The crown of the road, if you stand in the road and look at the blacktop of my driveway, is more than a foot down. So that sets a benchmark of how far the road has gone down, and the base is no longer there. That's I've heard others complain, not saying right or wrong, but there's really been no benchmark. My driveway hasn't changed since 2007, and it's gone down over a foot in that little area. And 90% of these people have to drive past my house. So that's just a little bit of a measurement for you. If you want to come out, stand in my driveway, see how far it's gone down, it'll give you a good idea. Thank you.
Any others?
Not about roads. Good evening. I am Al Hayes. I live at 10218 Beach Avenue. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of the beach community. We are seeking help in our effort to have the Union Township Board of Trustees work with us to better maintain and improve our park. We have been more than patient. We have been lied to. We believe that improprieties have taken place with the budget and request an audit of the books. We were threatened by the board with selling the park, trustee members agreeing that they had this right. If that is true, then we need help in changing that law so that the park remains county property in perpetuity. We were also told that it was not the duty of the trustees to do any replanting, just maintain the greenery that is currently on the property. 4 years ago, we first went to the trustees hoping to get an opportunity to submit a maintenance bid for Beach Park. We got nowhere. 3 years ago, we tried again. 2 years ago, we tried again. This year also, the trustees had the treasurer's husband install posts around our park. This is a safety hazard. We informed the board that the posts were a safety hazard. In September of 18, we met with the board and again stated the need for the posts to be removed and our desire to maintain the park, donating the money to park improvements. We had a security light donated to the park. 2 years ago, the board had no issues with paying for the electricity for that light and an outlet at the northeast corner of the park. Now the newly elected trustee who stated in September that she would not come back to Beach said, no, we are not going to pay an electric bill, let alone the power install required for the county maintenance building located on the south side of the park. The board requested we get install proposals suggesting Miller Electric for the contractor. We also contacted Mid-American Energy to determine cost. Did any of the trustees seek help in addressing concerns we brought to them? What's it going to take to hold the current Union Township Board?
But I will give you a call.
Thank you.
Are there any others? Seeing, hearing none. Our next meeting date will be April 2nd, 2019 at 9:30 a.m. And I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.